The Prime Minister's so-called reset deal with the European Union is unravelling. The Prime Minister told us it would add £9 billion to the economy, but not until 2040. However, even then, the benefits are expected to go mainly to multinationals, not to you, the taxpayer. Meanwhile, the UK could end up paying hundreds of £millions a year to follow EU food, farming and environmental regulations we have no influence over. Is the Prime Minister's reset deal motivated by economic benefit, or is it a ruse reversing Brexit and taking us back into the EU by stealth?
This important interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your money and your identity. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code here to get ExpressVPN right now and save up to 73% on annual plans today. Right, let's get back into it.
Well, I'm very pleased to be joined now by the Economist Catherine McBride and, of course, my panel, James Price and Tessa Dunlop. Catherine, you've written about this on Substack and have deconstructed the £9 billion figure. How does that work? Isn't it wonderful we're going to save £9 billion?
Well, we're going to apparently get 9 billion, but every media who's repeated that number has left out the by 2040. And that's the key, because if you're getting 9 million over 15 years, even if you just discount it, the net present value is about 6 billion. But if you look at it on an annual payment of 600 million, it's about the same as we would be asked to pay. In fact, it's slightly less than we'd be asked to pay if we get the same deal that Norway has. Because Norway and Switzerland, the EFTA countries, have to pay to access the EU market. And that is basically what I think the reset is making us an EFTA country without actually saying that.
But the real disadvantage is we then have to follow EU rules. So we're going to have to give up gene editing, which is a benefit for farmers. Northern Ireland, they've already had to accept the banning of tumble dryers.
Yes.
This goes on. We're going to lose oatcakes, apparently, as well, because of accepting EU rules. And it's going to restrict our ability to import from the rest of the world. So we don't get the benefit of cheaper food from Australia and so on.
Yes, all of those trade deals that we've signed will suddenly become null and void. Even the ones that we've only just signed, because we'll have to obey EU rules, and it'll be incredibly easy for them to block any goods that is competing with their goods, quite frankly. And if you look at the list, it is the case with everything in the EU. The money will come from taxpayers, but the benefits will go to a selected few. And if you look at the large multinationals that are our food importers and exporters, they are all companies that could well, make up this money themselves. And they're not just UK companies. Some of them, Cargill and Bunge and JBS, they are all listed on our biggest exporters. These are the biggest food companies in the world. And it's the same with the defence contract.
The defence contract, which they're asking us to pay £5.5 billion into, plus an annual fee of whatever it is, 130 million, in the hope of getting a few orders, which we might well get anyway if our defence equipment's any good.
Yes, but we, as in the UK, isn't getting the orders. Individual companies are getting the orders. And those individual companies are also large multinationals, very effective companies. But if they do get an order from this EU boondoggle, the goods, 65% of the value has to be made in the EU. So we can't, even though we're not really shareholders of these companies because of our ESG laws, which prevent our own funds investing in them, because it's against ESG to have defence equipment. But also our employees won't benefit because 65% has to happen in the EU.
So we can,
extraordinary.
Out of £100 million, we can only get 35 million actually spent in the UK, and we're going to spend billions to get this.
Yes.
So it's completely crazy.
And we may not get anything. That's the thing.
They may not want anything.
Yes, they may not like our equipment. They may not want to buy any of our equipment. There's no guarantee that if you give them the $6 billion, that anyone in Europe will want to buy any UK equipment.
And tell me about the carbon border adjustment mechanism, which seems to me to be one of the biggest scams going, that will protect European producers who wish to sell to the UK, but won't protect British producers because we don't produce the goods that are covered by it.
Well, exactly. We had a different system where we have very high industrial electricity, and then we had a lower carbon tax. Our ETS is about 40% less than the EU's one. In the EU, most of their industry, most of the countries are all different, but generally, Germany, France, they have cheaper industrial electricity, but they had much higher carbon taxes. We're going to lumber our industry with both. So they'll still have the high electricity costs of the UK, and they'll get to pay the EU's high carbon price. And then the CBAM that the EU is lumbering on us only protects 6 goods, which are not really important to the UK.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Save up to 73% on annual plans today. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
We don't really export either steel or aluminium, and the aluminium we do make here, we make with hydroelectric power. So there is zero
CBAM on it.
carbon
And it won't
tax.
affect ceramics or anything like that,
Well,
which
it
we
doesn't
do
cover
produce. It
ceramics.
doesn't cover them.
The one that the Conservatives were going to do was going to do ceramics and glass.
Yeah, I don't think
so
CBAM was a good idea, even if done by the Conservatives. That's another matter. Tessa, this is just performative by Starmer, isn't it? He loves the EU. He never wanted to leave, so he wants to give them billions of our money, just agrees up to Ursula von der Leyen.
I don't think, actually, he does want to give them billions of our money, partly because we're always being told they don't have billions. You know, the expression that's being used as a sword of Damocles is hanging over the meeting. If I was Keir Starmer, I'd want to take that sword and plunge it into all the Brexiteers who've landed us in this mess.
He wants to give billions to the EU, and he wants to give billions to Mauritius. He's happy to give billions to foreigners when tax is more at home.
Just let's drill into this. Can we just be fully transparent? Are you ideologically, Catherine, a Brexiteer?
Yes, of course.
Right. No, not necessarily, of course.
But that doesn't undermine anything.
It's always good.
Tessa, are you or ever have you been a communist? I mean, this is straight McCarthyism.
I think it's...
I'm going to bring James.
No, I haven't been able to make my point.
Well,
I was just establishing the basic facts.
James.
Well, ideologically, Brexit, I don't know what that means. When the kind of campaign really got going, I was neither here nor there on any of it. And as the campaign went on, I started to learn more. We're talking 10 years ago now, whatever it was. Started to learn more about the European Union itself and the lack of democracy and all these stupid rules. I'd actually quite like a world in which all European countries could trade freely with each other.
There weren't...
Well, hang on, no. Without having all of these mad rules, right? All of these things that we didn't have, we were able to influence and the rest of it. And this is the problem. Imagine a world where we could trade freely without having all of the stupid mad bureaucracy.
The key word, James, is freely.
Right.
It was never
there was lots of freedom.
It was never free.
Hold on. Having stopped Tessa, it is now 3 of us against 1. Right. So, Tessa, the floor is yours.
Balance. How wonderful. Smidgen, a quarter balance. Just to clarify, we are, on our list of topics, also going to talk about China and this great fear that's coming from China and the threat of spying, etc. Do you know what happened in 2018? Our trade with China went through the roof. It sits today at over 100 billion in goods and services. Why? A direct result of Brexit, because if you cut off your right limb with your biggest trading partner on mainland Europe, you have to go and swim with the devil. And do you know what? I'll take a few rules.
That's not true. You just made that up.
I didn't make it up.
Sorry, I'm a trade economist. You just made that up.
2018.
You just made that up. You're implying that our increase with China has something to do with the decrease in the EU.
Well,
guess what? Our trade with the EU did not change change till the end of 2020.
Yeah.
You made that
no,
up.
I did not make it up.
It has nothing to do with the EU.
I am so
it
sorry.
had nothing to do with Brexit.
Make it
had a lot to do
started
with
increasing
China.
from 2018.
Yes, but it wasn't to do with Brexit. We hadn't even left until the end of 2020.
But do you know what? People were realising that they were going to have to change direction.
Not Keir Starmer.
No,
He was campaigning for a second referendum in 2018.
All right, well, there we go.
Friendly, wasn't it?
This should be my most pugnacious panel.